Hey, what's up, thinkers? This video idea was inspired by the Nen Hunter's own video, where he also talks about what if the Chimera ants were real. But he mainly talks about the social and ecosystem implications, not if we could actually kill them. So I'm going to touch on that along with the social ramifications. Though I think this goes without saying, the normal Chimera ants would be a massive problem. They would be able to adapt to any ecosystem they land in and would be extremely hard to get rid of, considering that we already struggle with removing way less resilient species. We also already have an example of what their empire would look like, as there is an ant that is very similar in its behavior to the chimeras, and that is the Argentine ant. If you want a more in depth explanation of what they do and how they have created massive super colonies spanning entire coasts, then I suggest you go watch Kurt Skazart's video on the subject. But the gist of what you need to know is that the ants have multiple queens and will send out those queens to form new colonies, leading to one massive super colony. They are extremely effective, especially in environments they aren't native to. The chimera ants are essentially those real world ants, but they have an insane level of adaptability due to phagogenesis. And we don't know if they would split apart and wage war against each other, or if the colonies would stay united, because the only reason the colony fell apart was because they ate humans. The ants would drive countless species to extinction and would be more like an incurable disease or a natural disaster than a group of animals. The larger dark continent ants would either be worse or easier depending on how you look at it. It's worse for the larger species because they wouldn't go after smaller creatures. They wouldn't get much meat, so mice, bugs, and other small animals would be safe. But on the upside, they would be bigger targets, so it would be easier for humans to fight back against them. There are two options for how difficult the chimera ants are to kill. Option number one, they eat humans and would be about as strong as they were in the show. But option two is where the chimera ants don't like the taste of humans, which means that they would be a lot weaker and less intelligent. For this video, I'll be assuming that they love to eat humans and that Nen will exist for them. First off, as we were shown, all the soldiers, most of the lieutenants, and maybe even some of the weaker squadron leaders will all be killable by using just normal gunfire, as shown when NGL fought against them. Though some might argue that the stronger Chimera Ant officers will be able to take bombs and rocket launchers, even if they could in Hunter x Hunter, they wouldn't be able to in the real world because they wouldn't have any Nen. But oh wise weeb, I hear you saying, didn't you say that the Chimera Ants can't use Nen? Well, yes, I did say that. The squadron leaders only learn Nen from other Nen users, which don't exist in the real world, so they would be much weaker. That leaves the Royal Guards and Maryland as the final problems. Pre-Rose Maryland is scalable to around small town to town level because Phaeton is able to destroy an entire Silk Castle with one of his weaker attacks, so his stronger attack should be multi-city block level, and Netero is above him, so he should be small town level, and Meruem is above him, so he should be town level. So just like in the show, the easiest way to kill Meruem and the Royal Guards is with a nuke. But this time, the government wouldn't send in anyone because Nen users don't exist. So the Royal Guards wouldn't be separated from Meruem, then all of them would get nuked together, leading to no post-Rose Meruem. Even if you want to say that countries wouldn't want to send a nuke due to fallout, they could just send in the Moab, also known as the mother of all bombs, which isn't nuclear and is significantly stronger than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. And even if you want to argue that they could survive the bombings, the Royal Guards would likely be weaker because they couldn't interrogate Pakol or any other Nen users to better understand Nen. So, they are most definitely dead. So now that we've established that we can kill them, next comes the question of, can we coexist with them? No, absolutely not. It has taken us thousands of years to get past our own prejudice against our own species for relatively trivial things, like religion and skin color. And we still haven't completely eradicated that hatred. Now you think that people will be able to coexist with man eating ants with superpowers. Nope, not happening. The only way the chimera ants will not be eradicated is if some of the governments capture some of them and experiment on them, or keep them as weapons and super soldiers. Or we have a cult situation where there's some good ones. Other than those situations, they're all dead. In conclusion, the Chimera ants are fodder in comparison to what we have in the real world. So I guess Tagashi was right that a human nation could take down the Chimera ants without much trouble. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.